So this is Chris O'Brien for Radio Cardiff, 98.7 FM and on DAB, and for Cardiff Fire TV as well. I'm at the home of, one of the informed teams in Welsh sport at the moment, the Cardiff Fire, and I'm joined by Head Coach Elis Sheppard. Shep, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you for yours.
We're here in the bar of the Ice Arena Wales, or the Vindico Arena. We normally catch up after a game, but nice to have a little bit more time this evening at training. For those that aren't familiar with the Fire, before we start, obviously Cardiff's got a proud ice hockey history. Of course, the Cardiff Devils, with the Great British team playing here recently. Give us a feel for what the Cardiff Fire are all about and where they fit into that ice hockey landscape here in South Wales.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cardiff Fire, play in the National 2 division, semi-professional team. A lot of youth comes through our system, and we pride ourselves on our close connection with the junior development. A lot of this is to do with Jason Stone, who was the head coach of the Cardiff Juniors, ex-Cardiff Fire player, and he has really helped us develop that young team, which is currently, like I said, competing in NHL 2 South and doing well, like you said.
Very well. And you're head coach of this team, big boots to fill, taking over from Mark Cuddihy, just under 2 years ago. How has that step up been? Of course, you were captain before. How has it been being head coach? What's the adjustment from being captain to head coach of a team like this?
Well, it's difficult, playing coach. You have to practice your own game, but also you have to try and make reasonable adjustments in the split second as well. And our ethos is that we want to improve everyone, so I've also have that to consider as well. But I'm thankful. Although I'm head player coach, I've got a great support system on my bench with Mike Brabham, Dan Brabham, James Moose-Whiting. Of course, we've had Sam Motton on our bench as well. And yeah, they've all been great for us as well. But that's really the role, different from captaincy. Captaincy, you're more a motivator, whereas a coach, as bad as it sounds, you're more of a critiquer.
You say about being a critiquer. I remember last season, we caught up towards the end of the season. You were very critical of the season that you'd had. 12 months on, you've had a fantastic season, huge improvement. Tell us the difference between last season and this season.
I don't think it's a building process, isn't it? So we retained a lot of our guys from last year. It's not a new look team, but we injected a lot of youth as well. The likes of Jakob, who was 16, Lewis Lunn, who's just come back from the Oakenhagen Academy, same as Bobby Reagan. We've brought these guys in to help boost the speed, and then there's a nice complement with the experience, such as Chris Fox, Lewis Stevens, our captain, Tom Stevens, and I'm probably doing a disservice to the people I haven't mentioned as well, because they're all part of this team. You might see on our social media, we call ourselves the Fire Family, and it really is that family environment in that locker room, and I think that's contributing to our on-ice success at the moment. I've
been involved here 3 seasons. I've learned a lot from not knowing the rules of ice hockey to hopefully knowing them now. And that Fire Family is absolutely something that shone through for me. Obviously, you've seen a lot of young players come into the squad this season, complemented by the experienced names you've mentioned yourself, Chris Fox, Lewis Stevens, etc. Tell us about the atmosphere in that locker room, because it seems to be a great vibe. Everyone seems to get on really well, and there is that pathway for young players to come in and experience senior hockey like this.
Yeah, not to use too much alliteration, but the boys are buzzing in the locker room every single session. There's such a good vibe. Last year maybe we had a bit of disturbance in the locker room, but we don't have that this year. Everyone is bought into the plan, the future, and I think again that's contributing to our recent success on the ice. But I know we caught up previously as well, and we had games previous to this recent run of form where we were playing well, but we just weren't turning out the results. And I think that's changed now. We have turned that corner and we are getting the results. I know that we haven't spoken since the Guildford game, but the league leaders to come to our game, and 21 game unbeaten streak, and we end it here. And great team, great setup, but we were the better team on the day. Same as Peterborough, we went to Peterborough away, who are a great complement of a team, coached by Nathan Pollard, who is, national player, and to get a result there as well, and such a tight result, it just shows the way we're going with the setup of the team is the way that it should be set up, youth, dynamic, but with a mix of experience as well.
One of the things from last season I remember is right at the end, we had our calculators out, we had our advocates out, trying to work out if we were in the playoffs yet. It was tight towards the end. this season we're already advertising the playoff weekends in the bag already. There's been some cracking wins this season. You mentioned Guildford, and of course we've got to mention that lot across the bridge, Bristol away. Some fantastic results this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you summarised. The Guildford game was probably my favourite game this season to coach. I thought it was going to be the Bristol. I didn't think that was going to be topped, but like I just alluded to, that Guildford game to beat them after going up there, them showing how well drilled and well disciplined they are, and then for us to turn it on its head in the reverse fixture, it's something that as a coach I'm proud of.
Absolutely. Another thing that has really happened this season, you've touched on this already, is the emergence of young players, and not just young players on the fringes of the roster, young players scoring goals. Jacob Bamwell, Kirk Brown, a lot of players have broken through this season. Tell us about the impact that they've had on the team and how important that youth pathway is.
Yeah, absolutely. So they bring an energy which, it gets lost with experience.
Yeah.
The legs start to fail you. You get a little bit older, but with our nice blend of youth and seniority, it's brought a new energy to the team. I know that we've changed our style of play ever so slightly this season, whereas we were a bit more passive last year, but we have the ability now to go in and press teams. We have the ability to, in layman's terms, take it to teams, because we have the endurance, we have the speed, but we also have the strength as well. A lot of those boys, although they're young, they're strong, they're competing at senior level in their first, second season of semi-professional senior hockey.
And talk about the fan base here as well, because we've got the Devils, elite league team, of course, and it's difficult playing D2 hockey to get crowds in when you've got an elite league team, but there's a strong support base here, almost a cult following for the Fire, some really good atmospheres here, and a great relationship, I think, between the fans and the players. It's a great addition to the Devils to have, but you've got a strong fan base here.
Yeah, I mean, in the past 3 seasons, I've seen a real emergence of, as you said, die-hard fans.
Mm-hmm.
I looked on the stands against Chelmsford, the game just passed, and the stands are littered with old Cardiff Fire shirts, which a few seasons beforehand we didn't see, and it's a welcoming sight, and it really motivates the team as well to know that there is support, and it's just not friends and family coming to watch. We actually have supporters, and I've said it in previous interviews, but they really are our sixth guy on the ice. Hearing that support. We do video analysis, and you can hear when the goals are scored. You can hear the fans cheering, and it brings a lot of a boost to the team and the morale as well.
You talked about the old shirts as well. This is a club with history, isn't it? This is a club with roots in Cardiff. You mentioned that some of the names involved in establishing the club. There is a proud history here. Fire have got quite a lineage now.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had guys, Jason Stone, for example, playing for us. His jersey's retired in the rafters for the Cardiff Devils. Ricky Deacon, who is now very much involved with the junior system as well, which is helping us again look for that next crop of players who can represent the Fire.
We talked about young players. If there's anyone watching that is keen to get involved in ice hockey and they're good enough to play at a level like the Cardiff Fire, what is your advice to them? What are their options to get involved in terms of how they work their way up to a team like this, how they get themselves seen by a team like Cardiff Fire?
Yeah, so we held trials in the summer, and that was a great way to bolster our team. For example, we had guys come through such as Aaron Reagan, who has had a few years off, come back and has really hit the ground running, but also juniors which have come up who have exceeded the 18-year, age 18 gap, and they've come into our team and they've slotted right in as well. Recommendation for anyone listening, whether you have a child who's looking to play, get them a pair of skates, see how they fancy ice skating first, and then have a look into ice hockey. It is expensive, don't get me wrong, but it's one of the best things I've ever done.
And we've talked about what a community club this is and the pathways for young players, but also for those that aren't players. I go on the ice once a year with my daughter at Christmas at the Winter Wonderland, and I can't wait to get off again. There's opportunities there's volunteers here that make the club tick. There's a real community feeling. Every game night I'm struck by the number of volunteers, the passion involved in the club. Tell us about that ethos, what it means to the players, and that off-ice side as well.
Yeah, and I think off-ice staff, they're not seen, but they are our unsung heroes. I could spend the next 10-15 minutes naming every single one and what they do for this club. But I think they realise how grateful we are for them. You know, our team respects them. Without them, there wouldn't be a Cardiff Fire. From, you know, ex-parents who had children playing, or, you know, older adults playing in the Fire or playing in the Cardiff NIHL Devils when it was that, you know, before the rebrand, and they've moved on to paths new, ventures new, and the parents have stayed around because they love the support for the club, and it's real, that community vibe, and we are ever so thankful for them.
There's ambition here as well. We talked about Fire's history. Presumably this is a club that is always ambitious to grow and looking forward to taking that next step in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, in Fire's 2 inaugural seasons, they won the playoffs. Not the playoffs, apologies, the league, but we just fell short of the playoffs as well. We had a slight, you know, lull because of, you know, changing the old guard, I'd say. We had a lot of older players who were great, but, you know, they've moved on to ventures new, and they passed down the experience that, you know, myself, I was 18 when I first started with the Fire. And now we're finally starting to see a retention of players, you know, and we're adding that or injecting those new players in as well. So we are ambitious. We're hungry for that trophy, but it doesn't stop there. Ambition as well. We're looking at how the club and the community can progress as well with hockey in Cardiff.
Let's talk about the rest of the season. I said at the top of the interview, one of Wales's informed sports teams. That's not an exaggeration. I think it's 4 wins on the bounce. 7 wins out of 8. We've been talking about when the Fire were going to click. You've clicked. What are your hopes for the rest of this season? Playoffs already in the bag, and presumably the team believe they can beat anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, you know, you alluded to the 7 out of the 8. The last game we lost was Guildford, who were top of the league, and they've just gone on and won the cup. It's, you know, for us, we want a trophy. You know, it's difficult because, you know, start of the season we weren't there, so what we're building on now is getting to the highest position we can in the league and peaking at the right time so we can go into those cup final weekend or the cup final quarters and, you know, face teams and they're going to be on the back foot and think, wow, Cardiff are the informed team. We didn't want to pull them in the playoffs, and that's what we want. We want to send a statement, and it started at that Bristol game after, you know, we came back and beat them 3-2. We're just continuing. We've got a real tough game this weekend against Haringey Huskies. They beat us previously. It's currently second in the league.
Plenty of spice between those two as well, I think it's fair to say, yeah.
Second in the league, high flying, got to the cup semi-finals. You know, there's a lot on the line this weekend as well. Not just for us, but for them as well. They're in touch and distance of Guildford. So they're going to come down and try and make a statement as well after we've just beat Guildford at our home rink. So it's going to be a great game.
And finally, you've mentioned the Fire family and how much they mean to you. We need to see them down for that run into the playoffs and for that playoff quarter-final weekend, don't we? It's going to mean a lot to the players, and there's a lot of excitement here. Winning games, good atmosphere on game night, bars open as well. Why wouldn't people want to come down and support?
No, absolutely. It's cheap, it's affordable, it's great for, you know, you can join the Fire family and be part of it. You know, if you have a child who wants, you know, an autograph, a photo, well, the boys are more than happy to help as well. All I'd say is if anyone's listening and wants to get involved, come down, join the Fire family, by all means come down, reach out, send us a message, and we'll see what we can do as well.
And we have seen that this season. I should touch on before we do finish some real partnerships with teams in Cardiff. I think Canton Rugby have had good numbers down here. We've seen other teams, we've seen representatives from the FAW, and you mentioned autographs as well. The players are always afterwards looking to meet the young fans that have come down, looking to meet mascots and supporters. That's a great link as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, and we were all there at one point. I remember when I was young and I was sitting in the locker room with the NIHL Devils at the point, and I was sitting next to Gareth Dixon. I never knew, you know, future I was going to play on the same line as him.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great way to develop these links and these pathways as well. So yeah, anyone in Cardiff who's interested in getting involved with the Fire, whether, you know, your rugby club, football club, whatever, come down. You know, reach out. We're looking for new supporters, and we're looking to build those links as well.
Brilliant. Elis Sheppard, Cardiff Fire. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Grace. Thank you.